Should she come clean to her family or keep this secret going? Around 20 years ago, when she was young, her mom introduced her and her sister to household chores. Well, she quickly realized that she hated doing the dishes. Well, one day while doing them, she found out that if she made the water hot and left her hands under the water, that her hands would become very red. And this is what gave her the idea. She went to her mom and complained, asking her why her hands are red from doing the dishes. Her mom said she must be slightly allergic to dish soap, and that she probably shouldn't be doing the dishes anymore. Well, fast forward 20 years and her family still believes this. At Christmas, Thanksgiving, family gatherings, she's never asked to do dishes, and she never does the dishes because her family still believes that she's allergic to dish soap. At this point, does she just keep the story going or come clean? What do you think? Weirdest toys of all time. The toy you're about to see was released in 1967. It's a doll called Drippy the Runny-Nosed Kid. He has an incredibly large nostril, and if you press his stomach, apparently snot comes out. He's strange, and with a name like Drippy, you think his fashion sense would be off the charts, but he doesn't look too fresh. Would you want this toy? Craziest School Rules Part 1. When a teacher asks a question, the students are supposed to raise their hands if they want to answer it. Well, a school in England banned students from raising their hands. The school principal said that the reason for this was because the same hands were going up for every question, while other students would just sit there and possibly not participate. Now the teachers can call on anybody, and that student would have to answer the question, whether it be right or wrong. Parents say their kids are now nervous and scared to go to school. Worst toy designs of all time, Part 13. The toy behind me is a squirt gun, made by a company called Kids Stuff. But like, who did this? It's called the Finger Squirter, and it looks like this. Double shot, great fun, it says. An innocent squirt gun, or a terribly inappropriate toy? Black markets kids used to run in their schools, Part 1. A teacher posted this story on the internet. At the school she used to teach at, the cafeteria did not season any food, so everything tasted bland. Well, one kid got a brilliant idea. He would buy bags of salt and pepper packets and sell them to kids in the cafeteria. He charged 50 cents for one salt and one pepper and made hundreds of dollars in his first month. But then the school shut him down, and kids went back to eating bland cafeteria food. Creepiest toys of all time. This toy was spotted on Facebook. Apparently, a lady is making them and selling them, and I think it's absolutely horrifying. It's a human and deer hybrid baby doll. And I must ask you, would you want this toy? Black markets kids ran in their schools, Part 12. One of my followers sent this one in. When he was in middle school, him and his friend would sell hot peppers. They would sell them for $6 each. I know what you're thinking. Who would pay $6 for a hot pepper? Well, kids were buying and eating them to impress their friends and girls, and they were selling out every day. They noticed these kids were chugging waters after eating the peppers, so they got a new idea. They started selling milk cartons for $10 each. It's expensive, but the kids that had the money bought them every time because their mouths were on fire. He made $800 in 2 weeks, and then the principal shut him down. Weirdest commercials of all time. The commercial you're about to see is for Levi jeans, and it shows a hamster running on a wheel, and then the wheel breaks, and then it gets very sad. See for yourself.
Kevin loved his wheel, but one day it broke. Kevin grew bored and died.
Things my old carnival job taught me about carnivals, Part 10, the balloon pop game. It's fun and very popular. A little insight onto how this game works. We were taught to underinflate the balloons, which obviously makes them harder to pop. What you want to do when you play this game is look for the balloons that are shiny. Try to pop those. If they're shiny, it means they're more inflated. I once had a kid come in, he paid for the game, I gave him the darts, and then his friend distracted me. He sharpened the darts in the concrete, and then he crushed it. I was honestly impressed. Coolest toys of all time, Part 1. I found a super cool video on the internet, and it might be the coolest toy I've ever seen. So basically it's these two cars, right? Kind of like Hot Wheels. But what you do is you wind one car up and let it go towards the other car. And then when it hits the other car, something awesome happens. Check it out. Would you want this? Here are some tricks that might make your life easier. I don't know. When you ask someone a question and they give you a confusing or a rude answer, just stare at them in the eyes. Right in the eyes. They'll feel super uncomfortable and then have to re-explain themselves. Hopefully in a better way. If you're about to play rock, paper, scissors with somebody, ask your opponent a random question right before you start. It'll throw them off, and 9 times out of 10, they'll pick scissors first. Before you shake someone's hand, warm your hands up. Cold hands are linked to distrust. And if you ever feel like somebody is staring at you or watching you, make yourself yawn and then look around. If you see somebody else yawn, chances are they've been watching you for a while. Black markets kids ran in their schools, a follower submission. A town that he lived and went to high school in only had one barbershop, and this barbershop was very expensive. Like, unreasonably expensive. So there was one kid in his school that knew how to cut hair, and he got an idea. He found out that there was a spare science room that nobody used. So one day he brought all of his hair equipment into school and started giving haircuts in the science room. He charged $8 a haircut, which is way less than the barbershop in town. Word spread and suddenly business was booming. Tons of kids were meeting either before school or after school in the science room to get a haircut. Well, at the end of school one day, a teacher went into the science room to grab something and saw tons of hair on the floor. And the next morning, the same teacher went back into the room and caught our dude getting ready to give haircuts. He was suspended for 1 week. He made around $800. Black markets kids ran in their schools, part 18. This one is smart and simple. At this school, everybody loved banana chips, and they sold them at the vending machines for 25 cents a bag. Well, this person would get there early every single day and buy every single banana chip bag from the vending machines, and then sell them for 50 cents each. Every day they'd be sold out, and this person would be walking away with some serious profit. Things my old carnival job taught me about carnivals, part 11. They want people to think the games are easy, and that they have a really good chance of winning. I especially learned this one day. I was playing the basketball game, which, as I mentioned, the rims are oval-shaped and the balls are extra inflated. Anyway, I was playing it, and I was doing terribly. My boss came over to me and said, "Stop playing the games, making them look hard. You need them to think that they're easy." So I had to stop playing the basketball game. And it was a slow day too, so I was bored the rest of the day. Black markets kids ran in their schools. Followers sent me this story about her brother. When he was in 7th grade, him and his friends were working a garage sale for one of the friends' grandpas. When the day was done, the grandpa said they can take anything they wanted from the garage sale to keep. Well, this dude picked a George Foreman grill. He decided he was going to start taking it to school. He would then use that grill every day to toast his sandwiches at lunch. And then he started doing it for his friends. And after a few weeks, everybody wanted their sandwiches toasted. So he had an idea. He would charge people $1 to toast their normal sandwich. So kids would come to lunch with their ordinary cold sandwich, give him $1, and he would toast it. Business was booming. Until one day his dad got a call from the school office saying he needs to come in. When he got there, he saw his son sitting in a chair with the grill on his lap. The principal said he could not be doing this anymore and the George Foreman grill had to stay at home. Well, his dad challenged them. He asked them, where in the handbook does it say students can't grill sandwiches at lunch using a George Foreman grill? And they couldn't find it. So he was allowed to keep the grill at school. He made about $1,000. Until the next year, in the handbook, it said students can't toast sandwiches in a George Foreman grill. This kid's a legend. A father locked his daughter in his basement for over 20 years. Comments, like, and share this video with other true crime lovers. Sarah was about to turn 18, but that excitement came to a sudden end when her father, Don, locked her in the family's basement. He convinced his wife that she simply ran away, although she was in the basement the entire time. Over the course of those 20 years, he did unspeakable things to Sarah. She even had a few of his children. Children that he would bring upstairs and leave on his own doorstep, pretending that Sarah just dropped them off. But how'd the story end? Lifetime's new movie Girl in the Basement is based off these true events. Will you be watching?
Day 3 selling chips at school.
Running away.
May 53.
Nice.
Day 6 selling chips.
Running away.
WTF.
Well done. Now tell me everything. Every night at 8 p.m., this kid's parents would shut off the internet. It didn't matter what he was doing. And to turn it back on, you had to have a password. Homework, group projects, whatever, it didn't matter. At 8 p.m., the Wi-Fi was getting shut down. At first, he's mad, like this is not fair, but then he realizes the neighbor's Wi-Fi signal is very strong, and they're very old, so there wasn't a Wi-Fi password. He begins doing his homework on their Wi-Fi by his bedroom window. Okay, perfect. It works. But then like winter hits and the signal gets worse for some reason. Dang it, connect, send! Don't! He starts getting closer and closer to the neighbor's house. He begins sitting on his front porch, then outside their windows. This goes on for weeks. Sometimes the signal's better, sometimes it's horrible. Until one night, the signal was very bad, so he was sitting directly underneath their bedroom window. He didn't know it was their bedroom, but another neighbor saw it. What was that creep doing? And yeah, I guess it would look pretty creepy, this dude sitting outside the neighbor's window with a laptop. In the dark, the police get called, the cop shows up, he explains to them, I'm using their Wi-Fi. Mine gets cut off at 8 p.m. by my parents. I have homework to do. The cop's not even mad at him. He's like, where are your parents? The parents come out. The cop says, you shut off the Wi-Fi at 8 p.m.? He's got homework to do. Look what he's doing. He shames the parents. And the parents are very embarrassed because, yeah, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Nobody gets in trouble that day, and the parents stopped turning the Wi-Fi off. That's just wild. After class one day, a teacher tells him, "Tomorrow I need you to come to my office hours." "Oh, like right after school?" "Yes." And he's actually excited. At home, he tells his mom, "I got a thing for class tomorrow after school." He tells her it's office hours, and he thinks it's a party. "Ooh, office hours, that sounds fun. Let's go to Costco, we'll have you get some cookies to bring." So they go to Costco, she buys some cookies, chips, some plates. Next day after school, he's walking down the hallway with a plastic bag full of these snacks, and he's excited. He knocks on the teacher's door, smiling, and he goes in. "I didn't know how many people were coming, so I brought extra." "What?" She looks at the food, looks at him. "What are you talking about?" "Office hours." She closes the door quietly and says, "We're here to talk about your failing grade." It's not a party?" "No." He sits down, defeated. He talks to the teacher, and they have a plan to fix his failing grade. And as he's about to leave, "All right, well, thanks. I guess I should go do my homework." "Wait! I can't let you waste all the food. Let's bring out the cookies and the chips. Let's have a little party, just us two." "Okay." And for the next 15 minutes, they sat there and ate cookies and chips and just chatted like two human beings. And then he went on his way. Hey, actually, that's a good teacher. She's on her first date at this guy's place, and he's cooking dinner. What's for dinner? Food. Now his place has this rustic cabin vibe. Wooden floors, dim lights. There's a weird smell that she noticed, but she thinks it's just an old house. "I'm noticing a weird smell. It's probably because it's an old house." Well, at that moment, this guy's dog walks into the room and just unloads a 30-second pee right in the middle of the floor. She's trying to get his attention. Stop. No, your dog, he's peeing." He doesn't turn around, he just says, "Oh yeah, he does that sometimes." Well, then she asks if there's a towel she can help him clean up the pee. "Since you're cooking, I can clean it up." But he says this, Nah, you can just leave it. I'll spray some Febreze on it later, let it dry by itself." And that's when it hits her. The smell wasn't the cabin. That soft spot on the floor wasn't just old wood. It was the dog's bathroom. And dogs sometimes pee inside, but he never cleaned his dog's pee up. He just put Febreze on it. She politely sat there and ate dinner. Then she leaves and never texts him ever again. That's nasty. It's a sleepover at his friend's house. They're sitting down talking when somebody mentions a microwave. "I almost microwaved my fork." That would have been crazy. Why would that be crazy? Everyone's like, "You can't microwave metal, man. You didn't know that?" "No, and I've never tried." They explain to him that it's bad to microwave metal, like fire hazard bad. Well, they all go to sleep, and this kid's laying there. He can't stop thinking about it. Metal microwave. Microwave metal, metal microwave metal. Metal, metal microwave milk metal. He just can't let it go. Staring at the ceiling, he decides, I need to find out for myself. So he goes into the kitchen of his friend's house, opens the silverware drawer, grabs a handful of forks, knives, and spoons, puts it in the microwave, and presses start. For the first 3 seconds, nothing happens. But then, crackling, sparks, a flash bright as the sun, and then flames. The microwave is now fully engulfed in flames, and the cabinets start on fire. Fire alarms are going off, everybody in the house wakes up and they go outside. The fire trucks arrive and they're putting this fire out. Luckily, it's not too bad. The kitchen was pretty messed up though, but the entire neighborhood was outside in their pajamas watching this thing happen. And obviously, they found out who did it. Bro, we just told you about metal in the microwave. I had to see it. And that, my friends, is nuts. She told him to wash the car, and she gave him a bucket and a sponge. You should be all set. All right, I'm on it, Mom. So he goes outside with the bucket and the sponge. He sets the bucket right next to the car. I'm gonna put you right here. Then he goes to the side of the house and grabs the hose. Okay, got the hose. And he begins dragging the hose over to the bucket by the car. All right. But the hose is not long enough. It doesn't reach. Ah, great. So he turns on the water. Fill this bucket up, but how am I gonna do it? It's gonna launch it from here. And he begins spraying the hose and trying to arch it into this water bucket. Come on. But the bucket keeps tipping over. Come on. Not again. He adjusts his stance. He changes the angle of the hose. He's trying to find the best way to fill this bucket. But this kid didn't realize that he could just take the bucket and bring it to the hose and then bring the bucket back to the car. Like, at no point does that enter his brain. His mom's watching him through the window. I raised an idiot. I mean, yeah, kinda. This could have been so bad. In this one class, he used to sit in the same seat every single day. Front row in the middle, nothing too special about it. But one particular morning, he noticed the person that usually sits right to the left of him was absent. So there was an empty desk right there. And he decided for that day he was gonna sit there. Class then starts like normal. About 25 minutes in, there's a large crack. Then another. Then the overhead projector that is directly above his normal seat falls down and crashes onto that empty desk. That could have been you. Yeah, I know. And it went down fast. The desk was now cracked. Imagine if he was sitting there. The room was frozen, like holy crap, this could have been horrible. Maintenance comes in, they pick it up, they make sure nobody's hurt, and then they just go on about their day. But that day could have gone a whole lot differently if his classmate wasn't sick, and if he decided he wasn't gonna switch seats. But he did, and life went on. Somebody's looking out for him. It's testing week at this one middle school. Normally, kids have the Chromebooks open all day during class, or they're using the school iPad. And as you can imagine, the kids have TikTok tabs open, they're playing games, YouTube is paused somewhere. Well, this week, the teacher says, no Chromebooks or iPads all week this week. The kids are like, what? She then says, we're just gonna be watching movies. Now, when I was in school, that would be the best thing you could hear. There'd be cheering. But this room goes tense. So we're just gonna like sit here and stare at nothing? Miss, we're gonna be so bored. This is stupid. Yeah, this is actually messed up. They then start calling the teacher horrible names. You're a frickin' loser, idiot. Piece of crap. Yeah, I hope you die. It escalates and escalates. One kid flips a desk. Enough! The teacher then grabs the school police liaison. He comes in and shuts this entire debauchery down. Every student in that class gets into big trouble because what the heck is the matter with them? Are kids really that obsessed with the screens these days? Maybe I'm old. But like I said, all I know, movie days when I was in school, at this school, snacks were allowed, but certain snacks were banned, like hot Cheetos, Takis, and anything sour. And the school wasn't joking about this either. If you got caught with them, that was a detention immediately. Is this Sour Patch Kids? Yes? Detention! So them being this illegal made kids want them more. So one kid's sitting back looking at the situation, he's like, okay, so these snacks are basically illegal, but everybody wants them. And he commits. He goes to the store, and his bedroom becomes a storage. Boxes, drawers, bags, all full of these banned snacks. Every morning, he would grab a small handbag, nothing too crazy, he would put a bunch of these snacks in there. He would then take it to school. And he's not selling openly, he's being very discreet about this. Between classes, quick handoffs, and it blows up. People are nervous buying them. Hey bro, let me get some Takis and sour gummies. Got you. Everybody's paranoid. So he makes it very clear. Every time he does a sale, he says this: if you're caught with this, that's on you. If you snitch, that's a whole different issue. And standing by him every single time is his best friend. Big buff dude. He never talked much. If you snitch, he'll find you and he'll get you. Yeah, and nobody snitched. For a while, one kid did, and he wasn't caught with candy or in the act of buying it. He snitched because he was petty. He was jealous of this kid's business and he wanted to shut it down himself, so he did. And there was a huge investigation launched, and that kid who started this business was expelled. That's too much. When he was 10, his grandpa asked him, what do you want for your birthday? And he says, a brick. A brick, why? Because my parents still have this super old TV. If I throw a brick at the TV, we'll have to get a new one. Oh, I'm just kidding. Maybe just some Pokemon cards or something. The grandpa just smiles and nods. A couple months later, this kid's birthday comes around, and there's a beautifully wrapped present on the table. Heavy, perfect corners. The kid opens it. Inside was a single brick. The grandpa's losing it. You're crazy. I can't believe you remembered. And the grandpa leans in and says real quiet to him, wait till your mom's in the kitchen and then waste the TV. So the kid's mom goes into the kitchen to grab the cake. The kid takes the brick, smashes it in the TV. TV is destroyed. What happened here? Now we gotta get a new TV. Yes. The grandpa took the blame for throwing the brick at the TV. I don't know why I did that. Then the kid says, it's okay, Mom, please don't be mad at Grandpa. I'll help you pick out the new TV. Okay, fine, you're right. It's okay, Pops. You'll be okay. Just sit down and relax. I'll clean this up. The mom then leaves to grab the broom. Nice work, kid. I love you, Grandpa. What a nice story. You didn't leave the table until you finished your plate. The kid usually just tries to power through it, but he's tired. He doesn't want to do this anymore, so instead he pretends to take bites and he puts the food into his pocket. Then, after dinner, he sneaks upstairs. But he doesn't throw the food in the garbage because he's paranoid. He thinks his parents will find it and realize what he's doing. So instead, he hides it in the vents of the house. Didn't matter what food it was either. Mashed potatoes, chicken, vegetables, fish. Every night, a little bit more. Stuffy, the foodie. But his plate's always clean after dinner and his parents are happy. He's like, this is a solid deal, cowabunga baby. Well, a week and a half go by and yeah, the house begins to smell horrific. His parents think there's a dead animal in the attic. They hire someone to come look, but there's no dead animal. Then they have the carpets cleaned, then the walls cleaned. The last thing they got checked was the vents. The guy pulls it open, he's looking. Yeah, there's a bunch of old rotten food in the vents. And everything kind of comes to light. The parents find out what the kid's been doing, but they feel bad. They're like, oh my God, we were forcing you to eat. You weren't hungry, you shoved the food in the vents. We're horrible parents. Well, maybe, kinda. Why would you force your kid to eat? Regardless, that rule stopped, and the house still smells a little bit like fish.
It's March. The school goes into one of those lockdowns where the police bring in these dogs to sniff around the lockers looking for some sort of illegal substances. Every classroom door is locked, there's no bathroom breaks allowed. Well, one kid in this class is visibly unwell. Pale, he's sweating. The teacher notices and goes over to him. What's wrong? The kid whispers back. Do you think the dogs would go to my locker? The teacher kind of pauses. Do you have something to be worried about? Kid nods yes and says, there's a ham and cheese sandwich in there. Extra mayonnaise on. The teacher's confused. That's not a problem. You're allowed to have food. The kid says, I know, but it's been in there since September. 6 months. 6 months this sandwich has been in the locker, and the kid is so worried about it, I'm pretty sure that sandwich smelled. This kid wasn't afraid of getting expelled. He was afraid that the dogs were going to uncover this weird biological event that was growing in his locker for 6 months. Luckily for him, the dogs didn't go by his locker, and nobody uncovered the sandwich smell. But that teacher never forgot the fear on that kid's face.
This kid had a fish allergy, and he always told his mom, Mom, I can't eat fish, I'm allergic. And he's not like die allergic, but if he has fish, he'll get sick. Headaches, vomiting, but his mom refuses to believe him. No, you're not. Eat the fish. She would force him to eat the fish, saying that he's not allergic, and then when he does eat it and gets sick, she gets annoyed. Oh my God, you're dramatic. Clean up after yourself. Well, one night, the mom's hosting a big dinner party. This kid is 9 years old. Everybody's eating. His mom hands him a fish fillet in front of all the guests. Here you go, sweetie, eat this. Let me know how it is. Mom, I told you I can't eat fish. That's not true. That's not true, everybody. That's when the kid realized, okay, I'm gonna eat the fish. He eats the fish. Everybody's watching. 10 minutes later, he walks back into the kitchen. Oh, did you like the fish? You want more, I bet, huh? No, Mom, I... Pukes all over the mom and the table. The guests are shocked. Oh my God, clean up an aisle fish. Milk. Now you can see it in the mom's face. She wants to explode. Kid's like, do it, Mom. Everyone will see who you really are. But the mom can't. Not in front of all her guests. So she flips. Oh, my poor baby. I think you are allergic to fish. Let me go put you to bed. She then takes him upstairs and tucks him in and joins the party again. And from that day on, she never made him eat fish ever again. Hey, kid's a genius. This is nuts. So one day, this kid slapped another student with a ruler. Hey, Billy. Everybody laughs. Even he did. Nobody gets in trouble. Well, for some reason, witnessing this kid slap another kid with a ruler ignited something in them. Because the next day, tons of kids came to school with their own rulers of all different kinds. Wood ones, metal ones, plastic ones. And just like that, the hallways turn into medieval combat zones. My turn, Mr. Kevin. No. Milk. School staff started confiscating rulers from everybody, but there was so many kids with rulers, it was very hard to do so. And just like that, another ban. The school banned rulers. If anybody was caught with a ruler, it was taken and they would get a detention. If they were caught 3 times with a ruler, they would get suspended. Now you might be asking, hey, Elliot, what about the classes where rulers are required, like geometry or something?
Well, those teachers would pass the rulers out at the beginning of class and collect them at the end. But still, these kids must have been obsessed with rulers, because that sounds crazy. It started small. This kid brought a few things from home that day. A headphones, a hoodie, and some random collectibles. And somebody jokingly goes, "I'll trade you my Jordans for those headphones." He says, "Okay." And that's the moment it clicks. The next day he comes to school, and that duffel bag he brought of stuff is heavier. And he starts telling people during lunch to meet him in the bathroom. And everything he had was up for trade. "Okay guys, line up. Here's what I got. What do you got?" And the value is negotiated right there on the spot. A hoodie for a watch for AirPods for a portable speaker shaped like SpongeBob SquarePants, a portable speaker shaped like SpongeBob SquarePants for a porcelain plate that someone stole from their grandma's house that's worth a lot of money. Okay, I think we all did good today. We happy? Yep. Perfect. Milk. By week 3, there's a huge line of people holding random objects trying to trade with this kid, because the best part is you were never sure what he was going to bring. Some of the stuff that was traded included shoes in a plastic bag, electronics, gift cards, jewelry. Bro, that's a PlayStation 5. I know. Now, say you wanted something nice, but the thing you had to trade didn't equal the value. Okay, I'll trade you this for that, but tomorrow you gotta bring me something else to make it even. Deal. So now there's credit on the line. And that's when it gets dangerous, because if someone didn't follow up with their end of the deal, there was arguing, fights, full-blown bathroom brawls. And then came the bandits. Bigger kids that stormed into the bathroom one day and stole everything. "Hey, Pipsqueak, give us the stuff." I knew I should have hired security. That's another lesson. Always hire security. The school then gets involved in a pretty major way. Suspensions, confiscations, meetings with parents who are finding out for the first time that their kid traded their family heirloom for a frickin' SpongeBob speaker. That bathroom was closed down for the rest of the year. But nobody ever forgot that underground trading post in the school bathroom. For almost a year, this kid kept reporting the same bully to the office. "He beat me up again." And every single time, the school staff reacted the same way. "Okay, we'll look into it. He's just being dramatic." And this bully was ruthless. Locker shoves, he would slap the books out of his hand. He started rumors about him. Hey, he uses onions as soap. But the school staff kept saying, "We'll keep an eye on it." "I'm not doing nothing." They just weren't taking it seriously. They didn't think he was telling the truth. After a while, "Are you sure you're not misinterpreting things? You keep reporting the same student every day. We need proof." "I don't have proof." "Well, that's too bad." Well, that spring, they installed cameras in the school, all throughout the hallways. The cameras were not installed for bullying. The superintendent just made the decision. Well, the first week the cameras are live, this kid was bullied every day. And at the end of the week, he goes to the office. "It happened again. Every single day this week. He shoved me in the locker, he beat me up, he slapped the books out of my hands. Here we go again, we need proof." "Well, this time you do. Remember? You guys installed cameras in the hallway." "Oh, that's right. They checked the cameras, and they saw it. Every day that kid being bullied by the same bully he said he was being bullied by." And there was an investigation launched. The bully gets suspended for 2 weeks, and the school staff pulls him into the office and apologizes. I mean, finally, but that's still super messed up. His name was Frog Boy, and he was the weird kid at this one school. Froggy, Puggy Wuggy. Every single day before class, he would be in the woods behind the school, catching frogs, lizards, and raising tadpoles in a Home Depot bucket. Grow, little tadpoles. Grow into frogs. And every day he would walk into class smelling like pond water. Yo, Frog Boy smells extra froggy today. But in class, he would have so much pent-up energy. He couldn't sit still, and every single teacher knew this. Kevin, why don't you go take a lap around the school, okay? Okay. They would often let him leave school and run around the building and come back to tire himself out. In different classes, other kids would be doing math, and they would look out the window to see Frog Boy running by. 2 + 2 is 6. He would also just do crazy stuff. Like one week, he super glued all the woodshop tools to the wall. It's a masterpiece. My tools! Another week, he went into the kitchen and spread flour everywhere. It looks like it snowed in here. My kitchen! And it was like that for a long time. Well, fast forward years later. One of his old classmates is at home scrolling through his phone when he stumbles on a viral motocross clip. Yo, that's sick. It's a clip of a guy on a dirt bike going off this huge ramp and doing a backflip. That's when the old classmate realizes, wait, that's frickin' Frog Boy! Frog Boy was now a professional motocross rider, and he was very rich. I'm just happy he used his energy for something awesome like that. Hey, go Frog Boy. This neighbor tried to get them in trouble. This mom and her kids moved into this small neighborhood, and at first it's quiet and nice, but one day the neighbor tries to give them a hard time. He called the city on her, claims the shed that's in her backyard is illegal and needs to be torn down. Their shed in the backyard is illegal and needs to be torn down. Well, the inspector shows up, checks the permit, checks the shed, everything's fine. He leaves. The shed is perfectly legal. It's been there for years. The neighbor's just being difficult for no reason. The neighbor keeps acting smug, keeps calling the city on them for different things every single day. Well, that's when one of the kids starts to do some digging, Googling city codes, property lines, utility easements, and that shiny new pool the neighbor had. It was built too close to the fence, and it was built directly over the utility line, so very illegal. One day the kid goes out there and starts taking pictures. Let me see this pool. Photos sent to the city, reports filed, and the city gives him a choice. You gotta move the pool or fill it in. How am I supposed to move the pool? Exactly. So he was forced to drain it, tear up the concrete, and fill it in with dirt. $40,000 down the drain, quite literally. And that is some petty revenge. This teacher was so strict for no reason. Her class was the only class in school that had this rule. No backpacks at your desks ever. They stay in your locker. Backpacks couldn't be under your chairs, couldn't be under your desks, couldn't be leaning against the wall. And if you forgot something, too bad. No trips to your locker, no borrowing stuff from other students. She wouldn't even lend kids a pencil if they needed it. Miss, can I have a pencil? If you forgot your supplies, that meant a 0 for the day. Well, kids usually messed up. Some kids forgot their notebooks, some forgot their papers, pencils. It was a thing, and they were getting 0s. And she wouldn't even bend a little. You know the rule. Well, one day the class decides to coordinate. Every single student in that class on this particular day went in with nothing. No notebooks, no pencils, no pens, no papers, nothing. They were there just themselves. They sit down, they fold their hands in front of them, and they just stare ahead. The teacher looks confused. Then she starts handing out the worksheets for the day. No one moves. Why is nobody writing? We all forgot everything today, Mrs. Cabinet. If we had our backpacks, maybe we'd have our stuff. Oh, well, you all know the rule. The entire class gets a 0 for that day. The next day, they do the same thing, and they get a 0 again. The third day in a row, the class is sticking to their guns. They're all showing up with nothing. They get a 0 again. Parents start calling, asking why their students' grades are tanking. The principal sits in one day and figures out what's going on. The students were then allowed to bring their backpacks to class. The frickin' protest worked. And those 0s got erased from the gradebook. Their grades were back to normal. That's right.
আপনি যে কি করে আপনার তাতে কোনো কমন সেন্স নেই আমার বাসায় একটু সবাই দেখে ফেলে
রাত 10টায় আমি ফোন দিব আর একবারের বেশি যদি হয় মামা মালটা তো জোস সরি 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 ভাবি তুই পারবি দেখ কিভাবে কই সেটিং মিটিং নাই তো সেটিং মানে বুঝো না পেন্টিরিতি ও তো আমাদের ভাবি হয় ওই হিসাবে আমাদের বিয়ে হিসাব আপনি
আচ্ছা দাঁড়া ওয়েট কর আমাকে একটু ভাবতে দে দেখি কি করা যায় দোস্ত তুই থাক আমি যাই আমি থাকবো মানে তুই থাক দোস্ত
রক্ত লাগবে রে রক্ত আসবো না মানে হ্যাঁ তাই তো শুনলাম আসবো না ঠিক আছে দেখতেছি ব্যাপারটা যাও
কি রে তুই কোচিং এ যাস না কেন
দোস্ত আমি কোচিং এ কিভাবে যাব বল এই গুন্ডাটা যে আমাকে ডিস্টার্ব করে তুই দেখতেই তো পারছস ডেইলি আমার পিছনে লাগে থাকে
আমার ভালোবাসার গল্পটা অপূর্ণ রয়ে গেল গলবে পাখির মন গলবে এমন মন্ত্র দেব
এভাবে রাস্তাঘাটে একটা মেয়েকে উত্তক্ত করে আর নিজের গায়ে রক্ত দিয়ে
হ্যালো,
হেই হোয়াটস আপ প্র্যাঙ্ক ম্যান।
কে?
একটু হলেই তো তোমার ফোন হাওয়া হয়ে যেত।
তুই তোর ফোন আর কোনোদিন পাবি না।
কেন?
তোর বাবা তো তোর ফোনটাকে একদম আসার দিয়ে ভেঙে শেষ, এমনকি পানিতে চুবাইছে।
আউট অফ কিউরিয়াসিটি হয়তো দেখা করব, বাট আই এম নট দ্যাট মাচ ইজি, অলওয়েজ রিমেম্বার।
আজকে যদি তারা না থাকতো আজকে তোর দিতাম একদম। এই খালি স্কার্টেন গার্ডেন।
এই যে আপু, এসব গার্ডেন ফার্ডেন যায় না, আমার ভাই ব্রাদাররা আছে, আপনার একদম কামড়ায় দিবে। না 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 ব্রো, এই যে আপনার ফোন প্র্যাঙ্ক ছিল ব্রো, চিল চিল চিল। রাকিব ভাই, আপনি এসআই রাকিব ভাই না? আপনার কথা আমি অনেক শুনছি। আপনি কিন্তু মানে বুঝের লোক। টেজে তোলেন।
এই হোসেন আলী, ক্যামেরা আগেই কইছিলাম আমার বস ফেমাস। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ভাই একটু যেতে ধরতে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ শিওর।
তো কিভাবে যে কনফার্ম হয়?
এটা তো এদিকে না, 3 নাম্বার গেট ওইদিকে, শঙ্কর গলি বোধহয় গেটের বাইরে। আপনি ভুল আসছেন, যান।
ভুল আসছে, কিন্তু আমি কি চিনতে পারবো?
ও আচ্ছা, আপনি দ্যাট বোরখা গার্ল।
চিনতে পেরেছো তাহলে না?
আই লাইক গুড গার্লস। ফলো করতে ফলো কর, যা। ইফতে কই যায় দেখবি, যা। তাহলে জীবনে প্রথম কাউরে প্র্যাঙ্ক করতে যায়, নিজেই আজকে প্র্যাঙ্ক হয়ে গেল।
মুনিয়া, তুমি আমাকে বলেছো যে তুমি তোমার কোনো বয়ফ্রেন্ড নাই।
না না, বয়ফ্রেন্ড না, আমি ওনার বয়ফ্রেন্ড, আমি ওর ফিয়ান্সে। ওর সাথে আমার বিয়ে নেক্সট।
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
আমার জন্য?
এটা তোমার জন্য, একটা নতুন ফোন দিলাম।
এই জন্য তাহলে তোমরা এতক্ষণ নাটক করছো?
নাটক না, তোমার ফোনটা পুরনো হয়ে গেছে।
কেন
নতুন ফোন।
আমরা প্র্যাঙ্ক করতে পারি না?
একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট কথা ছিল তোমার সাথে। এমন করলে কেমন হয় যদি এই এন্টারটেইনমেন্ট জার্নিতে আমি জয়েন করি তোমার সাথে?
আরে বেন সাহেব, নতুন নতুন সম্বন্ধ তো তাই চিনতে পারেন নাই। ওই যে আপনার বান্ধবী তুলি আছে না?
আপনি যে কি করে আপনার মাথায় কোনো কনসেন্স নেই, আমার বাসায় যদি সবাই দেখে ফেলে।
রাত 10টায় আমি ফোন দিব, আর একবারের বেশি যদি রিং হয়। মামা, মালটা তো জোস। সরি 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 ভাবি, তুই পারবি, দেখ কিভাবে কই। সেটিং মেটিং নাই তো? সেটিং মানে বুঝো না, পেন্টেরিতি।
সবে ইন্টার সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে পড়ি।
সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে আমার ক্লাস 9 এর পোলাবেন প্রেম করে। মামা, মায়া তো অস্থির। এক্সকিউজ মি আপু, এক্সকিউজ মি, আপনার নামটা যদি বলতেন একটু। শুনেন বেন সাহেব, আমার বন্ধু জিসান, ঠিক আছে? আপনার বান্ধবীরে শুনুন। মারি নাই তো, শাসন করছি। ভালো লাগে না, একটু মারতেই পারি, তাহলে কিন্তু খুব খারাপ হয়ে যাবে। তুই ভাবিলাম সুন্দর রিক্সা ডাক। ভাবি ঠিক আমার বন্ধু জিসান দেখতে, প্লিজ ভাবি আপনি একটু নেন, প্লিজ ভাবি। দেখেন ভাবি, কালকে সারা রাত তোমার আমি কল দিচ্ছি।
তাহলে আপনি শুনুন আপনার ভালোবাসার মানুষের অতীত বর্তমান। পাগল কোন একদম ঠিক হয় না, ওনার ব্যথা লাগে নাই।
ব্যথা তো বেশি তুই
তুহিনে ব্যথা লাগছে না।
বন্ধু, তুই চিন্তা করিস না রে, ভাবির মন ঠিকই গলে যাবে। ভাবির মন তো গলবে, কিন্তু